Good evening and happy 4th of July. Welcome to Irish Television Chicago. My name is Tom Looney and my co-host Siobahn and Bhuachalla. We have an interesting show for you this evening. We have Mike Shevlin in the news with Eamonn Kelly and Sports. Also, we have the special feature this evening with Tom O'Donnell. Now I'd like to get right into the entertainment, and what do we have, Siobahn, this evening?
Well, the entertainment's where I pick up. For this holiday Monday, we have the Lookalikes, we have more from the Shannon, and of course we have Black Velvet, a wonderful three-piece band. So we're swinging straight into it now. Our first number comes from Mike O'Connell and the Shannon.
I remember the days when we played, you and I, all around the green meadows and mountains so high. We lived for each other and our love was so strong. When I think of you, Colleen, I'll sing this song again. Won't you dance with me, Colleen? Won't you love me tonight? Won't you whisper sweet nothing by the fair candlelight? When the music is over and the dancers are gone, though the lights may be fading, our love lingers on. Well, you had eyes of crystal, you had hair of gold. You said you'd be mine for to love and to hold. Though the years have gone by, my memory remains. When I think of you, Colleen, I'll sing this song again. Won't you dance with me, Colleen? Won't you love me tonight? Won't you whisper sweet nothing by the fair candlelight? When the music is over and the dancers are gone, though the lights may be fading, our love lingers on. Well, you had eyes of crystal, you had hair of gold. You said you'd be mine for to love and to hold. Though the years have gone by, my memory remains. When I think of you, Colleen, we'll sing this song again. Won't you dance with me, Colleen? Won't you love me tonight? Won't you whisper sweet nothing by the fair candlelight? When the music is over and the dancers are gone, though the lights may be fading, our love lingers on. Won't you dance with me, Colleen? Won't you love me tonight? Won't you whisper sweet nothing by the faint candlelight? When the music is over and the dancers are gone, though the lights may be fading, our love lingers on. Won't you dance with me, Colleen? Won't you love me tonight? Won't you whisper sweet nothing by the faint candlelight? When the music is over and the dancers are gone, though the lights may be fading, our love lingers on. Won't you dance with me, Colleen? Won't you love me tonight? Won't you whisper sweet nothing by the faint candlelight? When the music is over and the dancers are gone, though the lights may be fading, our love lingers on.
Well, last week we had the Lookalikes, a beautiful group on the show, and this week we're fortunate to have the same group again playing for us. Siobahn, what do they have for us tonight?
Tonight, Tom, they're going to sing Can I Take You Home Tonight? Very suggestive title. It was a big #1 for them at home in Ireland a few years ago. And of course, a lot of people have been saying, because the Lookalikes are something new on the show, well, where are they from? What are they doing? What are they all about? So coming up later in the show, we have an interview with Tom O'Donnell and their lead singer, Sean O'Connor. But right now, they're singing for us.
Can I take you home tonight? Can I stand at the street light and hold you really tight? But before we say goodnight, can I take you home tonight? Do just what we feel like, and would it be alright to call again tomorrow night? Can I take you home tonight? Can I take you home tonight? I wanna be alone with you. I won't do what I shouldn't do. Oh, I'll be ever so polite. I'll do everything just right. Can I take you home? I wanna be alone with you. You know you lead me on. Oh, you're such a strange one, but you're the one I want. Please don't keep me hanging on, 'cause you know you drive me wild. You've got such a sweet smile, and you act so very nice. Oh, I'll do anything you like. Can I take you home tonight? Can I take you home tonight? I wanna be alone with you. Can I take you home tonight? I won't do what I shouldn't do. Ooh, I'll be ever so polite. I'll do everything just right. Can I take you home? I wanna be alone with you. You always leave me so frustrated. What's the use in trying? I can't seem to shake it off. I've got you on my mind. Yeah, 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 yeah. Take you home tonight. I wanna be alone with you. Can I take you home tonight? I won't do what I shouldn't do. I'll be ever so polite. I'll do everything just right. Can I take you home? I wanna be alone with you. Can I take you home tonight? 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 Can I take you home?
For the best in traditional Irish entertainment, join your friends at the Abbey Pub, the home of Irish television Chicago, located at 3420 West Grace. The Abbey offers a wide variety of activities, including the best of Irish musicians from around the world. So whether you're in the mood for great live entertainment or just a friendly game of darts, you can find it and more at the Abbey Pub on the corner of Grace and Elston. Open weekdays from noon till 2 a.m., Saturdays till 3 a.m.
Welcome back to ITC, the show which not only is brought to you by beautiful people, but brings you beautiful bands as well, according to Tom Looney. And I know Tom's looking forward to this interview because you want to know about Sean O'Connor's hairstyle secrets.
That's right, Siobahn, but we are going to have none other than our own Tom O'Donnell interviewing Sean O'Connor, the band leader. So here they are right now.
Hi, this is Tom O'Donnell standing in for Martin Hayes with our feature group, the very hot group, the Lookalikes. I'm here with Sean, Mick, Dave, and Steve. And Sean, you're the founder of the group, Sean O'Connor. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the group.
Well, we started off about 8 years ago in Dublin, in Ireland, when the music scene was happening big time over there. There was a lot of bands being signed at the time. U2 were signed, we were signed. We signed to a British label, but unfortunately things didn't work out between us, so we parted company on good terms, of course.
Now you're centered out of New York now, right?
Yeah, we came to New York about a year ago, and we've been based there ever since.
And you play all over the country?
Yeah, we've been to Florida, we've been to Boston. This is our first time to Chicago, but it won't be the last. We're going to come back in September again to play down in the Shannon Arms and Addison Avenue and a couple of other clubs around.
Great. Well, it's certainly good having you on the show. We've certainly enjoyed you here.
Good.
You've been a very hot group. I think now, when you started the group back in Ireland, that was a pretty interesting time for a rock group to get started there. Maybe you could tell us a little
well, the whole music scene was kind of dead because punk had happened in the mid to late 70s, and then when punk finished, it just went, nothing was happening, you know. So there was a lot of fresh music coming out of Ireland, and we were part of it, and that's how we got signed, I suppose, in the first place.
Now, you had a couple of pretty hot singles in the charts.
Yeah, we had two #1 singles in Ireland, one of them which went into the British charts also. And then we did some tours around Europe with Thin Lizzy, and went back to Ireland. And the initial band, the Lookalikes, broke up for differences of opinion and musical differences as well, insofar as it just wasn't working out between the 4 individuals. So myself and Mick got together and started playing in Ireland first, and then we said that the music that we were doing we thought would be suitable to America, so we came here.
We talked about that.
They conned us into joining the band then.
We talked about that. You felt the market here was...
Yeah, the music market in England I always felt was a very fashionable thing, and America is a lot more open to a variety of styles, whereas if you play something that sounds like it comes from the 60s or 70s in England, people just write you off straight away. But I think some of the best music that has been written came from that time. And I'm not embarrassed about sounding like that. I like to sound like that. It's a compliment to me. Like, I think the Beatles wrote great songs, you know, and everybody likes them. They're very popular. But in England, if you start a band like that nowadays, you're history before you even start, you know.
Now you have a new single out now that...
We have, yeah, Whiskey in the Jar it's called, and a song called Shout It Out on the B-side, which has some Irish Celtic rock, as we call it, in the middle of it. That we just have it released independently, really for the purpose of promoting the band, but some record company might just pick up on it and
That's great.
make a switch, and Infamous.
Now, just quickly, you're from Dublin,
From Dublin, yeah.
and so is Mick.
Mick is from Dublin, yeah.
And you guys are from the States. Well, really, we want to have you back now. One more time, you're going to be back here in...
We're going to be back here in September, and as I say, we're going to be playing it in some of the clubs around, definitely in the Shannon Arms on Addison Avenue, which is where we're playing this time, and we'll be back there for at least 1 week.
Well, we want to have you back on Irish Television Chicago.
Oh, we'll be here.
All right? Okay, this is Tom O'Donnell with Irish Television Chicago, standing in for Martin Hayes, with our featured group, the Lookalikes. Thank you very much.
That was Tom O'Donnell, looking very relaxed and very at home in the midst of a rock and roll band and rock and roll life. They say Rolling Stone is after him for the interviews next. Tom, what do you know about Whiskey in the Jar?
Oh, Whiskey in the Jar I've heard for many, many years, Siobahn, back in Ireland, and it's been popular here for many, many years as well. But I've never heard it sung exactly to this tempo, so now we'll listen to the Lookalikes and Whiskey in the Jar.
It's a song called Whiskey in the Jar. As I was going over Cork and Kerry Mountain, I met with Captain Fair. In his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol, then produced my rapier. I said, stand and deliver, or the devil he may take you. We're shoving on our do-da-da-da. Wait for my daddy-o, wait for my daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. I took all of his money, was a pretty penny. I took all of his money and I brought it home to Molly. Molly swore that she would love me, never would she leave me. Devil take that woman, 'cause you know she took me easy, my sheriff, and I don't know. Wait for my daddy-o, wait for my daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. rock is falling. Some men like to hear the cannonball rolling. But me, I just like sleeping, especially in my mommy's chamber. And here I am in prison, here I am, the ball and chain, yeah. Wait for my daddy, wait for my daddy, yes, he's on a job. Wait for my daddy, wait for my daddy, yes, he's on a job.
The Irish American Heritage Center, located at 4626 North Knox Avenue in Chicago, was incorporated in 1976 for the purpose of establishing a permanent center to provide the facilities necessary to recognize and strengthen the proud heritage of Chicago's Irish community. Only through the generous help of area volunteers does the work at the center get accomplished. Through the donated time and efforts of the local tradesmen and craftsmen, the center is gradually transforming into a cornerstone for Chicago's Irish community. The center offers full banquet and theater facilities, plus classes such as traditional dancing and music. So enrich your life by becoming a member of the Irish American Heritage Center, located at 4626 North Knox Avenue. For more information, please call the center at 282-7035.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Irish Television Chicago. We got a lot of interesting things happening here at the Abbey Pub, and a lot of great entertainment. Now, Siobahn, you have some particular comments on the great
film
performers
industry
we've had here and so on?
Yeah, you know, we were just talking while we were listening to that last song about the actual amount of media coverage that Ireland and the Irish film industry and media industry is getting in particular. In the past while, and just the past year, John Huston has filmed James Joyce's The Dead. They just finished with Martin Sheen and Da. And Shay Duffin, who was here in the Abbey performing, is going to Ireland again in October to start filming a mega film on James Connolly, which we're all looking forward to its release here in the States, obviously. And it's absolutely wonderful that all this revival is happening, isn't it?
That is great, and we have, of course, a lot of great entertainment coming up over the next few months here at the Abbey, Siobahn. But right now, I'd like to turn you over to Mike Shevlin and the news from both Chicago and back in Ireland.
Good evening. Sinn Féin, the political party, held a private party conference last weekend to discuss the general party direction and its association with the IRA. The party leader, Gerry Adams, MP for West Belfast, called the conference to canvass support among party members for his recent talks with the SDLP. Mr. Adams is also interested in working toward a nationalist party consensus on reunification. Many delegates said that they felt it was time to work towards a policy of social and economic resistance, which would be of equal importance to that of the traditional policy of military and political reconquest. Belfast City Councillor Mr. Martin O'Muller said there were conflicts between what he as a councillor and representative of the people was trying to achieve and the continued party support for the IRA campaign of violence. He said people believe we can't call for jobs to be created while the IRA campaign continues. I'm using what is left of the democratic process in the North to peacefully effect change. He continued, I want all my constituents to have employment and will support all initiatives to give our people jobs. He said the party should have enough savvy to tell the difference between what is a position of political suicide and what is an intelligent and pragmatic political position. Sinn Féin officials released a statement to the press which said the consensus was clearly in favor of broadening our base and of constructively addressing our attitude towards the SDLP. It was agreed that the demand for national self-determination was of central importance for nationalists, and it was accepted that there was a need for Sinn Féin to develop further social and economic policies. Officials did state, however, that the conference was purely educational and that the delegates who took part had no policy-making function. Amnesty International has published an 83-page report on the situation in the north of Ireland. The organization, which is dedicated solely to the effective implementation and defense of human rights, has just finished a 6-year investigation into British government policy in the north. The report was strongly critical of the diplomatic court system, which does not accord the usual presumption of innocence to the accused. It said this, along with the acceptance of uncorroborated evidence and so-called supergrass witnesses, was contrary to the accepted British constitutional system of justice. The strongest criticism contained in the document was aimed at fatal shootings on the part of the security forces. Amnesty International included a commentary on the alleged RUC shoot-to-kill policy and an in-depth study into the killing of 6 unarmed men by the RUC in 1982. Mr. Bertie Ahern, the Republic's Minister for Labour, addressed the Federation of Irish Societies on the issue of emigration at its annual dinner in Manchester, England last week. The minister said that the government accepted that the present economic strategy could not arrest the steady flow of emigration. We have to face reality that for some years ahead, significant numbers of young people will opt to seek employment and opportunities abroad. Mr. Ahern said the government was now beginning to piece together an effective strategy to deal with the problems facing immigrants. People contemplating immigration were given advice and help when needed, and FOSS and several other government agencies were responsible for dissuading others from emigrating when their best interests were at risk. Minister Ahern also expressed concern over the accommodatory problems facing newly arrived emigres. The availability of both public and private sector housing in Britain has undergone a dramatic decrease in recent years, and Mr. Ahern urged the Federation to lobby local authorities to meet these needs. Fears are growing that the greater number of Irish bars may have to close this summer if the Bartenders Union goes ahead with threatened strike action over Labour Court pay increase proposals. The Irish National Union of Vintners, Grocers and Allied Trades Assistants, of which over 3,000 bartenders are members, has said it will serve strike notice unless they can come to some agreement with the Labour Court conciliation team over their demands for a 15% gross pay increase and an extra day off every 2 weeks, which they say is justified due to the new extended opening hours under the revised legislation. However, a spokesman for the Licensed Vintners Association, which represents the publicans, said that the pay claim was unrealistic. Mr. Frank Fell said to allow an increase would mean adding an extra 10 pence onto the already exorbitant price for a Guinness, which meant that the consumer would be absorbing the cost of the wage increase. Although the Vintners Union controls almost all city area public houses, family-run establishments are not subject to union control. So if you're planning an Irish vacation this year, plan on spending lots of time in the outer city areas, which despite the rainfall may not be quite as dry as other regions. Dublin's celebrated Gate Theatre has been celebrating its outstanding success in New York this week. The renowned Gate production of Sean O'Casey's Juno and the Paycock opened to a sold-out house, and the first performance closed with thundering applause and several standing ovations at New York's prestigious Circle in the Square Theater. Gate director Michael Colgan traveled to New York for the opening night, courtesy of Aer Lingus, the Irish airline company who sponsored the New York production. The entire cast, which includes Maureen Potter as a long-suffering Mrs. Egan, gathered in Gallagher's Irish Pub to wait for the first night reviews, all of which were laudatory. The most anxiously awaited review, that of the New York Times, described the show as superb and glowing. It was hoped that the play would have an extended run until September, but cast commitments will probably necessitate the play running only 1 week longer than originally planned. Juno and the Paycock is set in inner-city Dublin following the 1916 insurrection. It is one of O'Casey's finest works. It was one of his first attempts to express the conflict he felt between his Protestant loyalist background and his own nationalistic beliefs of love of the inner-city Dublin community. That's the news from Ireland on this 4th of July here in Chicago. Good night.
Good evening, this is Eamonn Kelly with the weekly rundown on Irish sports. As a result of Ireland's magnificent performance in the now completed European Soccer Championship, soccer has dominated the Irish sports scene for the past 2 weeks. More recently, Gaelic games, horse racing and boxing have provided the sports highlights. Following one of the greatest receptions awarded an Irish sports team on their arrival home, where over 250,000 were on hand to greet the Irish soccer team on their return from West Germany, stories are still being written about the great achievements of this team. While Holland, who defeated Ireland by an offside goal with only 8 minutes to go in their game, have since won the championship, many feel that the Irish team were good enough to reach the final. In fact, some sports writers and fans are of the opinion that it is not too far-fetched to suggest that Ireland, with a little luck, could have won the European Championship. One lesson was certainly learned: the fact that Ireland can now compete with the very best in Europe, if not the world, is not just a dream anymore. It is very, very real indeed. In a final summary of this great event, Ireland played a major role in the success of the tournament. Besides their unexpected brilliant performance against England, Russia and Holland, considered 3 of the best teams in the world, the Irish fans have been the main contributors to setting a true festive atmosphere during the celebration of this tournament. More important is the honour and pride these fans bestowed on their native land by their wonderful behaviour. While thugs from neighbouring counties did nothing but cause grief and embarrassment for their native land with disgraceful behaviour. Even after the Irish team had long departed for home over a week ago, several Irish flags could be seen waving among those of the Dutch and the USSR at the final game in Munich last week. As we mentioned last week, this soccer fever will only take a short reprieve as the preliminary rounds of the 1990 World Cup will commence in September. And what an opening round is in store for everybody. The Republic of Ireland versus Northern Ireland, scheduled for Windsor Park, Belfast in September. We hope and pray that the vital World Cup game will be contested without any fear of violence, which has troubled that city far, far too long. While Mike Tyson's first round knockout of Michael Spinks made boxing headlines all over the world last week, our own Barry McGuigan's great win over Thomas de Cruz of Brazil did not go unnoticed by the average boxing fan. McGuigan from Clones in County Monaghan put on a spectacular performance in this first fight since he lost to American Steve Cruz in steaming Las Vegas almost 2 years ago. This fight, which took place in Luton, England, was televised live on ABC's Wide World of Sports, and certainly McGuigan did not disappoint his countless fans with what some reporters describe as his best boxing display ever. Even that he moved up from a featherweight to a super featherweight and defeated the Cruz, the number 4 ranked in the world, by a TKO in the 4th round. Barry McGuigan is now considered a top contender for the world title against either Asma Nelson or Rocky Lockridge. In horse racing, the showcase of the year, the $750,000 Budweiser Irish Derby, was won by Kyasi, the Irish-bred horse owned by the Aga Khan. In a classic race dominated by English-trained horses, the favourite Kyasi had to pull out all the stops to win in the last couple of strides in a typical photo finish. This is the first time the Derby was run on a Sunday, and given the excellent audience of 27,000 people and record-breaking betting receipts for the event, it appears the last Sunday in June will be Irish Derby Day for a long, long time to come. And now to return briefly to Gaelic games, the stage is set for most provincial finals in both hurling and football. In hurling, Tipperary and Cork qualified for the Munster final to be played in Limerick on July the 17th. As a result of Wexford's recent shock win over the last year's All-Ireland finalist Kilkenny and Offaly's narrow win over Dublin, Wexford and Offaly will battle for the Leinster crown in Croke Park on July the 31st. In football, it is a Kerry versus Cork Munster football final on July 3rd, and given that this show is taped in advance, the result is now history, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Kerry have redeemed themselves for last year's defeat by Cork and qualify for yet another All-Ireland final. In Connacht Championship, the Galway were shocked by Roscommon, and on last week by the score of 2 goals and 10 points to 1 goal and 10. Roscommon have now qualified for the Connacht final against Mayo to be played in the end of July. The stage is now set for the Ulster football final between Tyrone and Monaghan to be played on July 17th. Tyrone qualified for the final by defeating Armagh 18 points to 1 goal and 8 points at Edmonstown last week. And as we mentioned, Kerry and Cork, the big game was televised into Gaelic Park and also into the Irish Heritage Centre last Sunday, and from here on until the big finals in September, all of the big games will be televised live into Chicago's Gaelic Park on the south side and the Irish Heritage Centre on the north side. And also, don't forget, every week the big games are going to be played live at Gaelic Park, and I'm talking about local Chicago games, and starting next week there will be big league games in both hurling and football as the teams prepare now to try and win out in Chicago to make their trip to San Francisco this coming Labor Day. And with that, this is Eamonn Kelly saying goodbye from Irish Sports until next week.
Well, that's enough of the serious news and sports. Now we'd like to go back to the Shannon airs and a beautiful number, Dublin in My Tears.
was the Shannonairs and Dublin in My Tears. And you know, Tom, as a Dubliner listening to that song, I was just thinking there's very, very little of Dublin left to cry about at this stage because they're ruining the old areas and pulling down the old buildings at such a rate.
That's right, Siobahn. And I was reading an article recently on gas leaks in Dublin. I guess it's a matter of either tearing down the old buildings or then blowing them up, I suppose.
I think this is the townie versus the country thing here, because all you're worried about is being safe and the gas leaks, and we want our nice old buildings. We'll risk being blown up in our beds, I think, just to keep them at this stage.
Well, that's for sure. I know I didn't have to worry about it back in the farm in Ireland, I know that. But
very little to worry about back in the farm.
Yeah, I believe you have a feature coming up.
Yeah, our feature story tonight proves to be very interesting indeed. We had a sneak preview look before we went on air tonight, and this is the real thing for you now.
A song called Black Velvet Band. As I was walking down Broadway, not intending to stray very far, when I met with a frolicsome damsel as she came tripping along. I watched she took out of her pocket and slipped it right into me hand. On the very first day that I met her, wrapped up with her black velvet band. Her eyes, they shone like the diamonds, I thought her the queen of the land. And her hair hung over her shoulder, tied up with a black velvet band. Before judge and jury next morning, the two of us did appear, and the judge he passed his sentence. The case against us was clear. For 7 long years transportation, far away down to Van Diemen's Land, far away from my friends and relations, battle up to her black velvet band. Her eyes, they shone like the diamonds, I thought her the queen of the land. And her hair hung over her shoulders, tied up with a black velvet band.
Hi, this is Tom O'Donnell for Irish Television Chicago, sitting with Dan Burke, the Deputy City Clerk for the City of Chicago, who is our featured act, actually, with the playing very fine piano, Dan.
Well, Tom, it's a thrill to be with you. I'm certainly flattered that you invited me out. It's very seldom I get the opportunity to play the piano for such a fine group of people,
Well,
particularly on the Irish television station.
Well, we really enjoyed it. It was very, very good. You and Liam really should take it on the road.
I'm beginning to think that maybe I should change professions, and Liam and I are going to go out and visit all the clubs in the city and see if we can do something with that.
Well, I'm going to change this a little bit. Now, you as the Deputy Clerk for the City of Chicago have a reminder for our viewers out there as far as those city stickers that they should have on their cars.
That's correct, Tom. And in fact, being that we are dealing with an Irish audience, and my being Irish, I would certainly not want to see any of my good people suffer the $10 penalty that's going to be in effect this year when they purchase their city vehicle sticker late. And the deadline this year is July 15th. And any individual that procrastinates is going to have to suffer a $10 penalty, bringing their sticker up to $60 this year.
Oh boy.
Quite a bit of money, and certainly if you buy on time, you have the opportunity to avoid that extra penalty, that extra $10.
I want to ask you a little bit about the clerk's office. Now, you provide, what are some of the services of the clerk's?
Well, as we just discussed, Tom, basically people are familiar with the city clerk's office in view of the fact that we issue the city's vehicle sticker. And we have many other responsibilities, and it's nice to have the opportunity to express that to the public. We produce a journal of proceedings which prints every matter of legislation that comes through the City Council of Chicago. We, additional to that, talk about a guide to legislation. We print this document telling all of our citizens what is happening with any given piece of legislation, tracking it, telling what committee it had been referred to, what action is being taken, and when in fact they can see it realized as part of the law of the City of Chicago.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you, that's something that people should keep in mind when they come down, that they can come to the clerk's office and feel free to get that type of information.
Indeed, and it's produced free of charge. Any citizen that's interested in the document can come into our office and pick up a copy free of charge, and we're always happy to see our citizens come in to visit with us.
Dan, now you're from a musical family?
You could say somewhat musical. None of us are on the circuit, certainly. None of us have played in symphony halls, but we are a musical family to the extent that we had a very fortunate experience. Our parents entertained in the home a great deal, and through parties and so forth, we all became involved in expressing ourselves in music.
Now, I know your brother, Alderman Ed Burke, is a very fine...
Quite accomplished. Quite accomplished.
You can always get him at a piano.
Oh, indeed. You'd have to pull him away from it.
Well, listen, now, where's your family from in Ireland?
My mother's people are from Mayo, and my father's people are from Cork.
Oh, okay. Oh, very
good.
good.
Unfortunately, I've never visited...
And you're from the county of Cook.
The old side, yes, the county of Cook, indeed.
Well, Dan, really enjoyed it very much.
Tom, it was my pleasure. Look forward to seeing you again.
You're on. This is Tom O'Donnell for Irish Television Chicago. Back to you.
Good evening. I'm Bridge Looney, and I'd like to share with you the upcoming events at the Irish American Heritage Centre. Remember, the Irish American Heritage Centre is here to serve the community. Why not plan your next party at the Irish American Heritage Centre? There are several party rooms available, and the prices are reasonable. For more information, call the centre daily between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. The phone number is 282-7035.
So there's a very full lineup of events for you coming up at the Irish American Heritage Centre, and those of you who want to know how to get there, the easiest way is to take the Kennedy Expressway as far as Wilson, exit at Wilson, and you'll see it right there in Knox Avenue. Or alternatively, you could follow the tar tracks made by Tom Looney's car, because he spends so much time driving to the Heritage Centre and doing events there that you're sure to get there if you follow tracks. Right, Tom?
Right, Siobahn. You know, recently we filmed a very good group here, Black Velvet. And now they're here to do the number for you, and that's called the Bothy Band Melody. Well, another hour of Irish television has gone by already. We have to wrap up the show tonight. I'd like to thank everybody that's helped us with the show. Thank you for joining in. Next week, we will have another show at the same time, 7 p.m. on Channel 25. Siobahn, I guess we've had 2 weeks on the show, and we really enjoyed having you. We have a closeout number for tonight?
Yeah, we have a closeout number from the Lookalikes once again. And just before we go, we should mention, I misdirected people. If you're coming from downtown, it's the Edens. If you're coming from downtown, it's the Kennedy. If you're coming the other way, it's the Edens. If you're driving home this holiday weekend, do drive carefully. We want you back here again next Monday at 7. So it's good night from me, Tom.
And good night from Irish Television Chicago.
Looking for it comes with time. There's no need for you to run. Time's on your side. I think I'm losing control. I think I'm losing control. I think I'm losing control over you. I think I'm losing control over you. I think I'm losing control. I'm losing control over you. I know there's nothing you can do. I know you tried. I can't say what I want to say. I can't be unkind. I think I'm losing control. I think I'm losing control. I think I'm losing control over you. I think I'm losing control over you. I think I'm losing control. I'm losing control over you. All right. You can take what you want. I don't mind. I'll still be here for a long time. But if it's love that you're looking for, don't take mine. It might be hard to understand. Love's hard to find. I think I'm losing control. Losing control. I think I'm losing control over you. I think I'm losing control over you. I think I'm losing control. I'm losing control. Thank you.